Come for the bread, stay for the politics. My name is Ben Walsh, and this is Let Them Eat Bread. This week on Let Them Eat Bread, we are celebrating the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah, which has been going on for almost a week now, by making our traditional challah recipe. And although I thought it might be fun to try and make a menorah out of a menorah, which is a traditional Jewish candelabra, I decided it would be nicer to actually have a loaf that I could eat this week. So if you want to design your challah this week with 8 strands or to try and make some fun shapes out of it, I highly encourage it. Please send us your pictures. However, I will be making my traditional 3-strand challah braid. All right, everybody, let's get started.
We are going to start with 6 ounces of water warmed to about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, about 30 seconds in the microwave. We are combining 2 packets of active dry yeast, or about 4.5 teaspoons of yeast with a tablespoon of sugar. Next, we're going to take our next 6 ounces of water and combine that with our eggs. We have 2 eggs and 1 egg yolk here, all large. We're going to mix those in. Give it a quick mix before you put in the rest of the ingredients and make sure you get out all that eggy goodness. We need all that moisture. Next up is going to be our oil. We're going to have about 7 tablespoons of oil in here. Just give that a quick mix. And then the next thing and last thing that's going into our liquid ingredients is our honey. We have 7 tablespoons of honey here. I am using an organic honey for our challah today. The next ingredient that we're going to need to do, after we mix this up, make sure you mix it. Also, just so you know, whichever honey you decide to use will affect the flavor of your bread, so pick a good one. Next, we are taking our 6.5 cups of flour and adding a tablespoon of salt to it. And you can add a little bit more, a little bit less if you like, but I'm just going to add about that much and give that a quick mix together. This is just to make sure that the salt is evenly distributed throughout the flour and to make sure that you don't have any pockets of salt as you continue to bake. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to create a well in your flour. I'm using my hand for this, but you can use a spoon if you want. Essentially, we're just making sure that when you pour the liquid ingredients in, we have enough space to put them in. We're now putting in our yeast, which has been sitting for our yeast mixture has been sitting for 5 minutes. And after that, we're going to put in our liquid mixture after giving it one final stir because the honey is set over the 5 minutes. And we're just going to pour this right in. And just make sure you get all that liquid out. We're going to need it. So give this a cursory stir. Be slow at first because you got a lot of liquid in that well, and I'm not using a huge bowl, but you'll be able to pick up the pace as you begin to get your dough to come together. So as you can see, I've got a little bit more of my dough coming together. I can pull whole balls of dough out of the bread, out of the bowl, I mean, and it's really starting to come together. It's a little difficult to move around, but you can see that it's very cohesive. All right, now it's pretty much come together, and I can knead it in the bowl. We're about to transfer it onto the board, but give it a few kneads in the bowl to get some of that extra flour residue off the sides there. Now we are on our board, and you're going to knead this slowly at first just to incorporate some of that extra flour. And this is going to take you, if you're kneading by hand, about 10 to 20 minutes. So do take your time. I have only showed you iterative parts of this so that you can see kind of how the different stages come together. Now that I've finished my kneading, we're going to put it into a ball and do the window pane test, just taking a little piece of dough and smoothing it out nice and thin to see if we can get some light to go through it. And the verdict is we can see through it. All right, and it stretches. Look at that stretch, guys. We really did well today. All right, so we're going to put it back into a ball form and just get it ready for rising. The next thing we're going to do once this is nice and done, and I'm going to give it the poke test just to make sure that it is perfect. It bounced back, perfect. All right, we're going to pour just enough oil to oil our bowl in here and give it a quick rinse around with our hands. You can use a spoon if you'd prefer, but I'm just going to do it with my hands. And then we're going to put our dough ball in, give it a quick toss to make sure it is perfectly covered in oil. And once we have done that, we're going to cover it with our plastic wrap. And afterwards, we're going to set our tea towel on top of it.
All right, so our bread is all kneaded. We did the window pane test. I even did the push test just to make sure that everything was right there kneaded. Challah takes a while to knead, so don't worry if yours takes a little longer than mine. Keeping in mind that I'm going to fast forward through all of the kneading that I did. But we're ready, right? This is an oiled bowl. We're ready to go. We're going to set our timer for about an hour, and then we're going to chat some politics. Remember to put a tea towel over this. Keep it nice and warm. I know that as we enter the winter months in the Northern Hemisphere, that we're going to get to a place where our kitchens might not be as warm as they usually are during the summer. Don't worry about it. The timer about your rising is not important, okay? The thing that's important is to make sure that you actually get a dough that doubles in size, because that is going to give you the best form for your bread, and it's going to give you the best flavor for your bread too, right? So let it rise, get it to the right shape. So don't worry so much about the timer. That being said, I am going to set my timer for about an hour. I'm going to cover this, set a timer, and I'll be right back to chat some politics. See you soon. All right, we are back. I'll probably cut this.
And ta-da, it is risen. All right, so we are going to take out our risen dough and put it on our board, just making sure to save our plastic. We'll use it to weigh our bread later. So we're just going to put this out on our board. There'll be some excess oil. We're just going to give that a quick knead around. Just a minute or two just to make sure that all that oil gets incorporated in our bread and that it's not, clogging up the counter space here. All right, so we're going to once again put that in a lovely round with the technique we always use, and then we're going to weigh it out into 3 equal pieces. So mine was about 58 ounces, and divide that by 3, that's math. And we're going to come out of this with 3 even pieces. Once you have your 3 pieces, you're going to push them through and roll them out. So we're going to start with, once it's a ball, we're going to start by pulling our hand backwards and just slowly but steadily pushing it out into a long log. Now today I'm actually going to be making a little bit of a thicker loaf of bread. I'm not looking to make my logs super long and thin, but you can make them as long and as thin as you want. Just kind of think about how big you want your loaf of bread to be when you eventually bake it, because it's going to rise again after all this is done. So just consider that when you are rolling out your loaf. So I'm going to make mine about between 12 and 15 inches long. 18 inches is a good length for an average loaf of bread, but if you want something a little longer and slimmer, by all means, feel free to do that. So once this log is completely finished being rolled out, we are just going to plop this guy onto our tray. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so now we are going to braid them, and you can clearly see it's been a while since I've braided in the past. Come on, Ben, you can figure it out. Come on, yeah, and almost. Yeah, now just tuck the ends in, and you're going to do the same thing on the other side because you were careless. Oh well. All right, so once I tuck that in, and you don't see that I butchered that a little bit, okay, no worries. And does it still look good? Yep, look at that. All right, looks like a loaf of bread. So what we're going to do now is we're going to recover it in plastic wrap and a towel for 1 hour. Once that hour is up, we are going to set our oven to 350 degrees and paint it with our egg, our last egg, which we will blend together. And once you've done that, it's going to sit in the oven at 350 degrees for 35 minutes about, or until it registers 205 degrees on the inside. Once it's there, let it cool on a cooling rack, and you are ready to enjoy. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Bye for now. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you liked it, throw a like on it, share with your friends, and subscribe for more of our content. You can also find all of our videos and clips on youtube.com. Just search Let Them Eat Bread and you'll find all of our content. Alright guys, see you next time. Bye for now.